So I chase the bucks, your friends looking like you changing up. Remember back when I would chase the bus, niggas is racing for short durations, running from their sins. When I was just a kid, running from my pen, people is talking, I Tony Hawk them, I swear to ground.
What's going on, everyone? This is your boy AshTheMan. Welcome to the video. So in this video, we're going to be talking about my thoughts on Noblesse, episode 1. Now the reason I'm doing a my thoughts video on the first episode is because it's a little bit deeper than that. Now, upon its release, I had a chance to look at the comment section. And where I watch majority of my anime is on VRV, which is provided by Crunchyroll if you're familiar with it. So occasionally I like to take a look at the comments, see what people are saying to kind of get the gist of this episode is going, is to pique the curiosity that I have going into the episode. But nevertheless, one of the things that people were saying about this is that you had to take a look at the OVA episodes, which is the beginning of destruction and the awakening, before you jump into episode 1, or you're not really going to know what's going on. And honestly, people were true. I watched about like 10 minutes of it, and I'm absolutely confused about what exactly is going on. Why is he in this position? It feels like I missed out on so much, and you will. I highly recommend taking a look at the OVA, but that's what I'm here to talk about. So the OVA definitely provided some interesting information. I wish they would have did episode 0 to kind of sum everything up. They didn't even have to go into great detail. This is actually would have been their perfect time to kind of like introduce the previous OVAs into the first episode, or just did like a pre-episode 0 before the release. That actually would have served it more beneficial, and then dive right into it, because we looking at something that came out about like 4 or 5 years ago. Now, honestly, if you need a site to go through, just hit me up on my Twitter. The link is going to be below. I don't want to give off the anime site in the video, because I definitely don't want, you guys to have a harder time in the future to find where to watch your anime. So definitely hit me up and I got you. But nevertheless, the proper way to start this off is to talk about Noblesse, the beginning of destruction. Now, when you talk about Noblesse, is you follow the guy Rizal, and he's pretty much is the top noble person around. Pretty much everybody has to bend to his will. He is literally like the strong lord of this particular like community they have going on. Now, this does make him like the highest being that everybody answers to. Now, when you talking about this like destruction, you was like surrounded with these guys. I guess they're part of like some secret union, and they pretty much has a plot in place that they are doing, in which involves 2 individuals, and one of them is Rizal. Now, later that episode, you do see you do get an appearance by this dude called Maduk. He supposedly works under the Lord of the Werewolves, and that is Mizaka. Now, he gets introduced when you see him traveling with this young girl named Ashley. Now, he goes to visit his good friend Rizal, and pretty much tells him how much peace he's find, traveling with this young girl. I mean, she refers to him as uncle, but there's more to it than that. Now, when it comes to this Lord of Werewolves, again, like I said, there was a plot in place for this. Now, the plot is going on is that the Maduk that's supposed to serve the Lord of Werewolves is having the werewolf soldiers serving the humans as they wage war. But it's a little bit deeper. They start marching towards the north of the mountains. Now, the Lord of Werewolf is planning on taking Ashley, and him and her is planning on living somewhere in the mountains where they go for hiding, because at this point, he basically has left the throne, and he basically is just trying to live his days out in peace. Now, after he explained all this to Rizal, he took Rizal to meet Ashley. And Rizal, you could tell by his cold demeanor that, it really doesn't serve him any purpose of going. But I mean, him and Mizaka is like really good friends, so of course he want to see what his friend is up to. Now, as he get back, his loyal servant Frankenstein pretty much informs him that the surgeons is marching towards the mountains. Now, as we later go on, one of the rebels take a few of the soldiers, and they are planning on hunting down Ashley. Now, Ashley did a banging job taking out the soldiers, but the werewolf guy end up getting her, pretty much hitting the arrow. She ended up dying. You know, Misaka was able to see that she was dead upon the horse arriving to his destination. Now, he goes into this rage, and he's not knowing that his own subordinates is the ones that put the plan into motion and actually killed her. He is pretty much placing the blame on all of humanity and wants the humans to pay. So when Rizal pretty much makes his appearance, he's bound to stop him, because in this nobility community that they all serve him, he pretty much informs them that there's not their job to get involved in human conflict. Now, Misaka pretty much did reveal that that wasn't just some random girl he met. That actually was his daughter. So eventually Misaka found the human that he was very fond of, and they had a kid together. Now, I'm not sure what happened to the individual that he fell in love with. That is something that is like later probably going to get revealed, but yeah, that was his daughter. So basically, Rizal and Misaka pretty much got into this big fight, and the fight was crazy. I mean, at points, it seemed like Rizal overpowered him, and it seems like Misaka pretty much was making his dramatic comeback, you know, getting stronger, putting Rizal in his place, but Rizal pretty much just still overpowered and took over. Now, due to their you know, encounter, it left Misaka pretty much in a crater, knocked the hell out. His regime actually wasn't kicking in. Rizal pretty much left the scene. He was bruised, but I think it was an over you know, use of his powers, so he went into a deep sleep. Now, this particular sleep lasted for over actually it lasted exactly 820 years later. Now, a lot has changed. Now, this is pretty much where the beginning of destruction ends, him going into this deep sleep. Now, when you're talking about the awaken takes place when he first awakens, and he begins to, you know, awaken into this world or whatever. Now, it was the job of M24 and M21 to retrieve the coffin of Rizal, and I'm guessing for them still referring to the Union, this particular group that did orchestrated the confrontation between Rizal and you know, Misaka pretty much is the ones at play here. But let's not jump to conclusions. We only in episode 1, but they pretty much is like this union that's going on. They perform human experiments, and it was to pretty much hyphen the humans up, I guess, in genome with werewolf blood. I'm just, you know, kind of like just diving into information here, just trying to see if that's what's actually going on. But again, a lot of that is probably going to be revealed to us in upcoming episodes and other seasons. But they pretty much stepped into play and trying to figure out what exactly happened to the coffin. They not knowing that Rizal actually made his return. So M21 and M24 placed a human under some type of like weird zombie spell to pretty much find out what happened. Now, before this guy got turned, he seen one of like the main character's classmates get witness to it, and now it was Han's like female friend that he have a crush on. Now, this person ended up like meeting them at a bridge, and they end up, you know, getting overpowered until Rizal pretty much made his presence, but then they left. Now, before all this, because I kind of like going here and there when it comes to this awakening, when Rizal pretty much appeared, he did meet Frankenstein. Frankenstein did enroll him at the school, and it was actually Rizal's intentions to learn what has changed in mankind while he's been asleep for 820 years. Now, going back to the situation, Rizal knows that there's some type of weird play that's going on, but however, M21 and M24 end up getting the girl. and they end up taking her to this abandoned building where their superiors is at. Now, their secret plan was to try to get the coffin because that could be their answer to freedom. But however, it didn't work out like that. They already know that they defected. It was just that they wanted to make a present so they have a reason to kill him. So when that happened, unfortunately, M24 bit the dust in this confrontation with the main guy, and M21 was about to hit the dust until Frankenstein appeared for Frankenstein and Rizal pretty much appeared for his protection, and Rizal pretty much gave Frankenstein the order to pretty much take old girl down. Now he goes after the big dude that took down M24, in which you will see his actual monster body is pretty crazy. But he was able to put the other students to sleep, and Rizal enter combat with the main dude. Now again, if you watch the beginning of Destruction, Rizal is strong as shit, and you could tell already how strong he is. When he tells somebody to bow and get to their knees, that's what happens. Like, you seen it when he approached the werewolves when they was trying to attack Muzaka, that they all bowed to him. Now it's the same thing for this demon. This demon was still resisting and everything, and Rizal pretty much put him in his place, killed him off. They did give Frankenstein an order to go ahead and kill old girl, in which Frankenstein didn't hold any restraint. He got busy and took her down. You know, Frankenstein is a whole different breed. But however, they was able to do so and end up saving not just M21, but the students that was all involved in this. Now, this is the OVA that I've been talking about so far, and again, OVA was pretty good. It kind of gave us what we needed to go into episode one pretty good. Now, when you talk about episode one started off and you seen that these guys going after particular individuals at the site, they murdering everybody else, but they got the target. And then later in the episode, they was ordered to observe the situation as the two that I explained in the Awakening that got killed, and with the two, M21 and M24 pretty much disappearing. But we all know that M24 and M24 pretty much died, and M21 is serving Ryazan now. Now in this episode, we get a chance to have some interactions with Ryazan and the students. Now in the Awakening, you saw him experience eating for the first time. He experienced eating again, as you know, he likes to weigh ass, the noodles like to puff up, other little things that you would expect for somebody to be asleep. But however, the main situation that did happen, besides the Union sending their troops to kind of like observe the town, is that this one guy pretty much was starting to fight at school because he was looking for Han. Han ended up stopping this girl from crossing the street looking at her phone, and I guess she must have got whipped from that. I'm not sure, but he started beating everybody the fuck up, and pretty much Han was getting messed up because he's still in a cast with his arm. So I'm pretty sure he couldn't fight. But M21 stepped in, kind of like made the dude lead the scene, letting him know like, hey, look, you look at these eyes on you because I would actually kill you. My man's left. So pretty much episode one was definitely it definitely continue off from Awakening, like rightly continue off. Now I'm not saying that episode one is a very strong episode, but for them extra questions, for them like putting their faith to M21, and then it's a continuation for what had happened, I don't think they really thought about how to do episode one. I'm not sure what the case may be, because for them like making sure that you watch the OVA, they definitely should have made an episode 0 to kind of like refresh things and kind of like reiterate some things to get everybody up to speed, because you're just starting off like this for people who may not have watched the OVA, because you know, of course, OVAs is something that people don't really consider to be that much of a canon content in majority of anime, you know, things that goes on. You know, it just like if you see an OVA after a season in, you know, half of the viewers probably don't even watch it. Let's just be honest. And sometimes I have failed for that same thing, and for them to do this with this, come on now, like you could have actually had this to be included so that people can be up to speed. But literally, you're gonna have to take an hour out of your day, because each, you know, segment of these OVAs is at least over. I think the Destruction was about 33 minutes, and I think the Awakening was a good 28. So you're gonna be wasting a good hour watching both OVAs before you watch the actual episode. And I mean, overall, if you watch them all as a content, it was pretty good. We got a chance to know where this, like, him and this new position in mankind, where things stand at. But at the same time, if you don't watch the OVAs, it's going to leave you confused, wondering what the heck happened, where did M21 come from, why does it feel like I'm missing so many things. So honestly, it's kind of like a mixed review kind of thing. They could have did a lot better in incorporating these OVAs instead of you just going back and watching them. Maybe they shouldn't even have came out with it and saved it for this particular moment. Never know. I definitely think The Awakening would have actually been the perfect episode 1, and then they could have did the Destruction as like a pre-episode, or at least did it as an OVA after season 1. Opportunities they missed, in my opinion. So overall, first episode was a hitch if you watch the OVAs, and it's not a hitch if you don't watch the OVAs. So it is, again, it's a very mixed thing to say, but that's just the best way to go and explain things for you. So yeah, but do I recommend you watch Noblesse? Yes, I want you to watch the OVAs. I want you to watch the first episode. Go ahead and enjoy yourself. But if you haven't watched the OVAs, then honestly, you need to understand the story properly. Trust me, you will need to. But other than that, I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in for me, with me talking about my thoughts on the first episode, or at least the proper way to watch the first episode of Noblesse. I do, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I definitely appreciate it. Hit that notification button, share the video, leave a comment on what you guys thought about it. And I definitely do thank you again for tuning in to me, ranting about this. Other than that, I hope everybody has a wonderful one. Stay healthy, stay above ground. Have a nice one. Bye.